Took a long time to learn to not put my hands on people. You know what I'm saying? It was a thing that happened with Eve that, we walking out and somebody grabbed her bag or something like that. And, I just kind of turned around and slapped the girl. It's like, girl, what is you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, period. Like, back up, And Eve is really pissed off about that. Like, we stopped hanging out. Like, she was like, I can't hang with Keyshia. Like, she can't be slapping people. And I was like, wait, I'll slap somebody for you. What the is this? But then it taught me a lot, too.
Welcome back, guys. A few of you suggested under a few of my videos on Scorpio Sun, Scorpio Moon channel in the comment section that I cover the Eve and Keyshia Cole situation that just erupted. And at first I was kind of weary about doing that. I'm not a gossip channel. I have covered some Scorpio kind of celebrity issues or things that have come up in social media in the past, but that's not what Scorpio Sun, Scorpio Moon podcast is about. However, this situation actually is prevalent to a lot of the things that I talk about in my two books, Rise from the Ashes, A Scorpio's Guide to Self-Esteem and Rebirth, and Dating Scorpio, both which you can order on the website. Or if you're in New York City, you can pick them up at Namaste Bookshop or Aum Shanti Bookshop on 14th Street. So the things that I talk about in my book, I go through tons of things in Dating Scorpio. I take you through 14 different relationships from my Scorpio perspective, from cutting people off to stinging people for various reasons. All of these topics come up in my videos. Many of you ask, why did you cut them off? Why did you sting them? And they spend years trying to figure out why, and trying to force Scorpios into their little boxes of what we should do and how we should respond. Oh my gosh, that's so immature. You should do this and you should do. No, it's not. That's not how we are. And so it's never going to happen, by the way. Go make friends with someone else if your expectations of our response level is that of yours. Now, interesting enough, Scorpios don't expect you to act a certain way. We can just deal with that of a fire sign or an air sign or earth sign, whatever. We just deal with whatever it is. But when it comes to us, we're expected to change our persona and behave in the way that you want us to, which never works out. So the situation is interesting, and you guys just heard the clip of Keyshia Cole explaining why Eve cut her off. Now, this was many, many years ago. If you go on YouTube, you can look, through the video and see the interviews. They haven't been friends since I don't know when, and clearly it's still bothering her, like it does a lot of people who have been eradicated from our existence. So Keyshia says that, Eve cut her off. Now this is assuming, because a lot of people always assume why we dismiss them from our lives, and 9 times out of 10 they're wrong, and they're wrong because they're always thinking from a surface level, when in fact it goes much deeper for Scorpios, right? Now Keyshia Cole is a double air. She's a Libra with a Gemini moon, and I know tons of double air individuals, and they're usually in their head, thinking too much, talking too damn much, gossiping too much, and they have a lot of mouth. Now, I don't know either of these ladies personally, but from what is reported about Keyshia Cole is, she's a little rough around the edges, probably grew up rough and very guarded and defensive, and that's understandable that she would have a personality, of someone who pops off in the streets and otherwise, I do believe Eve grew up in Philly. I'm not sure what part, but I think she was in the street life as well. However, I think moving through the industry as becoming more successful, she learned the ways of presenting herself in a different light, and more navigating through learning how to speak well and create a certain brand for herself. Now, a lot of people, they're not good at this. Some people are really great musically. Keyshia Cole is an amazing vocalist, singer, producer, writer. She's great at everything that she does professionally. But some people are only good at that. They're not good at becoming a certain image, a certain brand that keeps them out of the negative light. Like Beyonce is very good at being very commercial. You know, she's learned the ways. She's learned the ways of the business. You never see her popping off. She doesn't respond to anyone, even though she probably wants to. And she keeps you thinking that she is, you know, just as sweet as pie and everything else. She's very good at that. And so, you know, Keyshia said that there was an incident where her and Eve were hanging out and somebody grabbed Eve's purse. And or she said something like that. If you notice, she goes, "Oh, somebody grabbed her purse," or something like that. So that's not even like the accurate story. And I do believe there was much more to the story than that. But she said something like that. Like, it's either someone grabbed the purse or they didn't. So that's a little red flag in the story. But she said she just turned around and slapped the person, and Eve was very upset about it. Now, it sounds like that wasn't the first time that she's done that. You know, we all have had relationships, friendships, where, you know, there's that one person who disrupts everything, who's always popping off at the mouth. Maybe it's you, you can't take them nowhere. They're just violent, or they just start issues. And it doesn't have to be that. I remember many years ago, I mean, deep years ago, I had a Taurus friend, and I do remember she's Taurus, Libra rising, Sag moon, who was a whore. Like a real one, not just somebody calling her a whore. Like, she did porn, and she was very open about it, which, you know, that was a good thing about her. She was open. She didn't try and hide it. She didn't try and pretend she was good at two-shoe. She was a straight up freaking whore. But you know, she wasn't very educated. I'm sure she was good at what she did. I mean, men kept calling and crying over her, so it seemed she was good at her job. But when you took her out, when she went out, she didn't know how to transition out of that kind of whore type of personality. Like, she would always wear kind of clothing that would purposely malfunction. I remember we were at a restaurant and she had on like a strapless dress, and she lifted her arms and the dress went down. She was like, "Oops," and it was like all funny for her. And she would do things like that often. Or like, she knew she didn't wear underwear, so she would go under like some windy thing to make it blow up and start laughing. Or one time we were at the beach with her and her boyfriend, and we were walking like down the boardwalk, and there was a lot of traffic. Like, you could see the cars. We were on the West Coast. You could see the cars going by, and she actually bent over, lifted up her dress. She had no underwear on, and was like mooning all the cars coming by. Like, she just couldn't get out of that type. She couldn't. And this is why one of the main reasons why she never made it as like a model or an actress, and which was what she really, really wanted to be. She wanted to be a model, like a real model, like I was, like with a contract, and like not being a whore, like actually going to work, booking jobs for major brands like Kmart and, you know, different catalogs. She could never get a job like that, because every time she walked into an audition, she had her tits hanging out, and she was just overly sexual, and she didn't understand the concept of being a commercial person, like changing her image, like toning all that down, you know. And so everything that she did came from this overly sexual whore type of standpoint. Like, how can I get this by being sexual? Like, everything she did had to do with that. So she never made it. She, never could get an agency. She could never get represented. She could never book a real job. She had some things, but some things means porn and tricking. Those are the some things that she had. And so every time I would go out with her, it was just like the countdown to when she would do something like that. And it was really stressful, and also because people looked at me like that. They were like, well, she's down. And then they would look at me and I wasn't down. You know what I mean? I was like, and then I had to become aggressive with men because they already knew who she was. So they already assumed that I was down with that. And who you hang around is who you become, honey. So we had to nip that in the bud. Now, that is a different scenario, but it ties into the Eve situation because apparently, and I'm almost 100% sure that Keyshia was just that friend who was always popping off, couldn't get into they're both in the industry successfully, but Eve has a totally different image and she gets it. Like, some people are a little bit more successful than others because they get how to be commercial. And that doesn't mean being phony or leaving your real personality. That just means getting rid of a personality that you don't need any longer. I talk about this in my book, Rise from the Ashes, a Scorpio's Guide to Self-Esteem and Rebirth. A lot of things are in your subconscious, and you have these personalities that you had to create in order to survive in the environment that you was in. And so when I was young, I did quite a bit of popping off with men and women, which could have been very dangerous. And I talked about that in one of my recent videos, how being quiet saved my life many, many, many times. And so when I was younger, I had developed a very hard, aggressive personality because it was necessary in order for me to survive in the climate that I was in the situations that I was in. But right now, that personality is unnecessary because I live in a very amazing, circumstance right now that I've built for myself. I have a lot of peace. I have a lot of quiet. There's a lot of respect. There's a lot of self-love. There's nobody around me like that. I don't track people like that anymore. So all of that had to go. We had to burn that and create space to build the person that I am today. Now, Keyshia Cole did not tell the rest of the story, and I know there's a lot missing. But the thing with Scorpio is that you'll always assume why we cut you off your whole life. And I bet Eve was a really good friend. She's a Scorpio with a Pisces moon. She was probably very mellow and, just want to be out, have a nice time, and, not have any drama. And, Keyshia was just about that life, and I'm sure she just had to eradicate that. But I'm also sure that there were disruptions along the way, where her fighting people, and who you affiliate with yourself, you got to be really careful, especially when you're in the public eye. Now, I work in the public eye, not in the music industry, but I really do know how to handle myself. I'm an educated individual, and I didn't grow up in any rough area. I explained to you guys, I grew up in the suburbs. The suburbs, in a really quiet family town, and this, that, and the other. But I had a lot of volatile type of family upbringing, which caused me to be a lot more rough around the edges than I am right now. And so it kind of worked for me that I felt like I had no choice, but to have that type of personality because it navigated me in life, and it got me through a lot of things, and it I avoided a lot of things, just being that person that I was. None of that serves me right now. I don't need it. And so I think Keyshia just hasn't discovered how to get in the mirror and eradicate a lot of that she doesn't need now. She's successful, she's happy, there's nobody shooting outside her window. There's no need to be outside and cussing people out and going in interviews. Just saw an interview with her where she got smart with somebody. Like, it's unnecessary. And a lot of that may be a lack of media training. You know, I've been out with people who are just very gossipy and very raw when it's unnecessary to do that. And you have to be able to differentiate when and where and how. You know, you have to. Myself, I know how to handle myself in public, in the public eye. I work in the public. You know, as my writing career, you know, I was a part of the press for over three and a half years. And so speaking to a lot of people all the time, high level people, being in a high level situations, being in a high level position where my voice is really detrimental to a lot of people's creative work. I have to handle myself in a specific situation. You know, being someone who has and still does work in television, you know, I talk to producers, directors, casting. Like, I can't wow out. Like, I can't. There's no room for me to do that. And I have early in my YouTube career. I used to cuss people out because they went off on me, and I can't do that. Like, I can't do that. I'm not in a position to do that. It's just better to ignore at this stage in the game. So maybe she'll learn along the way. You know, she said that she has learned not to go off so much, but then at the same time she's like, oh my gosh, I defended you, like, why are you mad at me? And I'm sure that's not the reason why Eve cut her off. You know, I just, you know, I would not just come out swinging. You know, especially in their position, that sounds like, you know, somebody who's just out in the streets, who's not in the public, who's not famous. You can get away with a lot of that. But when you're, and this sounds like earlier in their career when they were well known, but not like huge yet. You know, that's the point where you really want to watch your image. And I don't know for a fact, I'm just speculating all this stuff. Like, I don't have any real information. I'm not friends with either of them, so I don't have the inside scoop. But this is just what it sounds like to me. And being a Scorpio, I've cut off more than enough people, honey, to tell you that it's never the surface. It's never ever the surface. It's something that's been going on for a long time. She, you know, she's just, that was the straw that just broke the camel's back. You know what I mean? Scorpios, a lot of Scorpios, we deal with a lot of stuff just like, and let it marinate. I mean, it took me years to cut that whore off, and she wasn't the first whore. There was another one, you know. Oh gosh, there were quite a few who had that early sexual behavior and just couldn't be around a guy without shaking their titties and things like that. And then I'm there, so then the men come and disrespect me, and now I have to pop off, and it's not my fault. It's like, why are you behaving that way? Like, do you know how to behave properly? Like, can you just, you know, can you just, and this is the thoughts that I always had, can you just know how to turn that off? Do you know what I mean? Like, when I am in front of specific people, I can turn things on and off, different parts of my personality that are useful to me at that particular time. When I'm home with my family, I don't act the way that I do, you know, in front of a director. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, a lot of this is something that a lot of you don't understand. And it's interesting that she brought this up, because Eve never discussed it. She's home, she just had a baby, she's married, she's happy. And, you know, our energy just sticks with people for years and years and years. Even though, you know, they talk bad about Scorpios. Oh, Scorpios are so childish and this and that. Okay, well, why am I still in your energy field? You're still thinking about me. She's very sore about it. And I hope Eve does not respond at all. Just stay home with your kid, honey, and your husband, and have a nice life, and let people sit there and cry and moan about, you know, that relationship that went sour. And I know there's more to the story. Other people are picking up on it. Like, what do you mean? It was something like that. Like, was her bag snatched or not? You know what I mean? And who's telling you to go out and slap people? I remember being on, I don't know if we were on a bus or a train, me and a former friend that I cut off. And I remember her sleeping. Oh, I think it was a plane, actually. I think we were on our way to Hawaii many, many years ago. She was sleeping, and some teenager from the back who was sitting in back of us reached over and he was trying to go through her purse, and I didn't turn around and slap him. I was like, oh, can I help you with something? Like, and she woke up and was like, who's that? Like, is she wild out? And but the way that I carry myself was like, oh, can I help you with something? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't haul off and punch him or anything. And so there's so many ways you can handle yourself. And if you're in the public eye, you really got to be careful, because guys, and I talk about this, your reputation is all you have. You could build yourself up and be really successful. And as soon as something pops off, you have to bounce back from that. And what I do hope for Keyshia is that she gets in the mirror. I definitely recommend my 45-day transformation that's in my book, and eradicate all that stuff. Like, you're not out in the streets. Nobody's trying to gun you down right now. I don't know what her life story is. I did hear that it was pretty rough, but like, is it still rough? Like, do you still need to do all that? Do you still need to behave so aggressively in interviews? And like, what does that do? Like, you're successful now, you're happier, hopefully. You don't need that, right? Just like I don't need the personality that I had, 15 years ago. I don't need her anymore. I'm doing well, and she's gone, honey. And so that's all I have to say about that. Eve cut her off. It's deeper than that. It's never just one little incident. And I'm so sick of this. And I know you other Scorpios are too. First of all, I hate people asking, why did you cut her off? Like, don't even worry about it. Just get out my face. Don't worry about my feelings. Don't worry about what I need to do. I know what I need to do internally. Just leave us alone. When we cut people off, like it's over, just go away and fix yourself. Worry about yourself. Like, we're protective of ourselves enough to cut you the hell off and just get rid of you for good. And so why don't you be protective of yourself and just worry about yourself, right? And just sick of people asking why you did this and why. It doesn't matter. You're cut off, and that's the end of it. So go heal and get your shit together, and worry about you, right? All right, guys, like, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. I'll see you guys at Aum Shanti Bookshop. I'm doing my first ever meet and greets. So excited to actually meet a lot of you guys. It's in New York City. It's in Manhattan. The bookshop is 230 East 14th Street. It's going to be March 12th. This coming Saturday at 2 p.m. I'm going to link. Did I say link? Ugh. I'm going to link the details in the description. And yeah, I'm going to be there talking about my books and giving you guys more insight of how to break yourself down and rebuild. This video is just a perfect example of a situation of somebody who just needs to get in that mirror. Eve has gotten in her mirror years ago, or she wouldn't be happy. She's created this beautiful family. She found the right man for her. And, she just had a baby. She's happy. And, that takes work. It's not overnight. We have so many things in our subconscious that is just stuck, that we need to eradicate. So I'm going to be talking about my books. I'm going to be answering you guys' questions. I'm so excited to finally meet you face to face, and really answer all the things that you've wanted to ask me. So anyway, check out all my new videos of Scorpio Sun, Scorpio Moon. I'll be back on No Makeup Needed soon, and I'll see you guys soon.